one person who's not been able to fast throughout the period, and in fact, you've had your Cerelac already.
I never said I was going to fast.
Hold on, it's you.
I never said I was going to fast.
It is you.
I have not fasted. I am not fasting, and I will not fast. We've issued that. The question is you.
I have been advised not to answer questions on the show.
Behaving like the United States and the UN Security Council.
I'm even surprised.
No, I've been advised not to answer questions on the show.
Okay.
I am not answering questions.
Anyway, back to the matter. So I was expecting a few liquids. I mean, it's in the morning, so I'm not going to specify the liquids we are talking about here. But some water will do.
Some water will do.
Yeah, some water.
Yes, Sammy would fix you some water. This morning we're talking about a lot of things to do with Black Stars captain Stephen Appiah.
Yeah.
And I was talking about Liverpool, and someone sends a message. I'm trying to look for that message. That says, Winston. A lot of messages have come after that. It says, Winston, be careful. Okay, you cannot. Let me just get that message that says that you cannot. Okay, so it says, Winston, be careful with your comment. We Liverpool fans won't have you mock us. You see, that's Mike in Adenta. Gary, I was making a very important comment. But and
you're about to make it again.
Oh, yes, this is a very important comment. See, I like Steven Gerrard for one thing. He was that person who carried Liverpool shoulder high. He motivated Liverpool in the miracle of Istanbul. And then at the University of Cape Coast, even though I'm a Man United fan, the mere fact that AC Milan had knocked out United in the quarterfinals, I wanted Liverpool to win and not AC Milan to win. So we're so happy. When Steven Gerrard came back, led his team, they equalized, went to the finals. Andrei Shevchenko missed the penalty, and then they scored. They won. Liverpool won. Fine. But is it not also true that when it mattered most to win the Premier League, Steven Gerrard was their downfall?
Literal downfall.
Yes,
because he slipped.
Yes, he slipped. And that is how come they couldn't win it. I'm not mocking Liverpool. I'm only saying that.
Yeah, just stating facts.
Stating facts. Because just like you talked about Stephen Appiah, and I mean, fantastic captain. I'm told that in one instance he actually, shared his winning bonus among the players.
Yeah, at the time or just before he became the captain, it was actually quite the norm. You recall that 2 weeks ago we had former Ghana international Joe Ado in studio, and he mentioned that Abedi Pele and some of the other internationals used to do that a lot. I mean, they actually never took their winning bonuses because most of the other guys were local. So Stephen started doing that, and then thankfully we started having a regime where things were paid officially and so on. So he didn't need to. But yeah, Stephen used to do that.
Exactly, and that makes him a great captain. A fantastic captain for the Black Stars. The fact that he led us to the World Cup.
As they say.
He led us to the World Cup, in 2006.
Yeah.
And I was very happy when we qualified for the World Cup. And we went to the World Cup again in 2010.
I think that if you look at Stephen Appiah's leadership, I mean, it was key because of one reason, or maybe two, if I can expand. He came at a time that we needed one. And it's instructive to note in the interview he had on Saturday with Nathaniel that he said essentially that the leadership was thrust upon him. He didn't even want it. When he was given the captaincy, he looked around and he saw that there was somebody who was more inclined or in a better position to be captain than he was. And he mentioned that it was Richard Kingston, because Richard was a senior to him. So he actually told the coach and told Richard that, Charlie, this thing, you should be doing it. And he said, Kingston tapped him on the shoulder and said, you know what, take it. We are going to support you. So he didn't even want it, which makes it even more remarkable the way he was able to execute it. It brings us to the whole question of, are leaders born or are they made? Classic marketing management question from our uni days.
Controversial
one. Are they born or are they made? And I mean, maybe listeners can tell us, do you think Stephen Appiah was born with leadership qualities, or he grew into it and learned? That's another question for another day.
I've heard Emmanuel Ama say that he's cousins with Stephen Appiah.
Yes, Appiah said in an interview that his mother's sister's son.
And Emmanuel Ama said that, when Stephen Appiah was made captain, there's one thing he told him. He told him that, look, in our time, there were a lot of antagonisms within the camp. Now that you are captain, it should start from you.
Okay.
Make sure you carry everybody, let me say literally, make sure you carry everybody with you.
Yeah, along
with you. So that at the end of it all, when the team succeeds, they also would remember who was captain at the time.
Yeah.
You know, all of us talk about how Stephen Appiah was the one who led us to the World Cup.
Yeah.
You know, we've forgotten. Look, if I ask you
so many players.
if I ask you to mention, those who played in the 2006 World Cup, you wouldn't remember all of them. Of course, you remember a few, but one person who will stand tall amongst them will be Stephen Appiah.
Yeah.
You would say Stephen Appiah was the one who actually led us there. So let's just listen to what Stephen Appiah said, briefly, and then we'll come back, Gary. I know you have a lot to say on all of this, so let's listen to what Stephen Appiah said.
One is empathy. Empathy simply means putting yourself in people's shoes so that you can feel what they feel. When you do that, you will always take decisions that help and not hurt them.
Yeah.
I think number 2 is communication.
Okay.
The people you are dealing with are human beings. They are not animals. Talk to them. Hear their side of the story. Always consider them before making decisions. And number 3, I think is courage. Not every decision you take as a leader will be popular. You take certain decisions and some people will agree with you. But if you really believe it is the right thing, you have to be bold and go ahead to take that decision. So it's courage. And number 4, never stop learning. In life, I've learned that what you knew yesterday may no more be relevant today. So leaders must always invest in educating themselves all the time. And number five is humility. No matter how high you are, you must still remain a servant as a leader. It is only when you serve that you can be a good leader. As I stated earlier on, some of us, we serve. We used to wash clothes. We used to wash people's football shoes. So, to be a leader, you have to serve.
All right, so that's Stephen Appiah there telling us, his principles.
What he learned.
Yeah.
So this was the part where Nathaniel asked him to list 5 leadership pointers or lessons he had learned from his time as captain of the Black Stars. When Stephen said it, it's like some international motivational bestseller in acclaimed speaker.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. 1, empathy; 2, communication; 3, never stop.
Courage. You see, you need courage, education, and then you need humility.
Humility.
Wow.
And it embodies his entire period in the Black Stars, doesn't it?
It does.
Empathy, because if you know the backroom stories, and it is not a coincidence that during his time, you always heard a rumor, and before it even had the opportunity to rear its head from the ground, it was quashed. Probably because Stephen had organized some closed-door, high-level meeting with some dignitaries and something like that, and it would be done. And then he spoke about what? Courage. I don't think anybody needs an introduction to the courageous nature of Stephen Appiah's leadership. Case in point was the 2008 Africa Cup of Nations, where he didn't have it, he didn't have it easy. Now, do you know that of all the good things Stephen Appiah has done, he has played only 2 Africa Cup of Nations, mostly because of injury or he wasn't there. But you wouldn't know unless he told you. Yeah.
I think I remember 2006.
2006 he went to Egypt. Yes.
And then,
but in 2004 we didn't qualify. 2002 he had an injury before the tournament.
Yeah, that was when he was named captain, but he couldn't play.
Something like that.
Yes.
So 2000 he was there for Ghana, Nigeria, but he's always led from the back to the extent that even when he retired in 2012, afterwards it's been a staple that before every Africa Cup of Nations there'll be a delegation sent to call Stephen Appiah to come and talk to the boys. And then recently it's been made official. For the last 2.5 years he's been part of the team as to be playing that function. So I think that these 5 pointers are an embodiment of the man himself. It's not something that he's doing that he's co-opting when he's actually not practicing them, I think.
But staying with courage, when I heard the part where he talks about the fact that the Juventus owner called him and said, you shouldn't go and play, and he was
for
like,
Ghana.
I am going to go and play, and that literally ended his career, the time that he spent at Juventus, because when he came back he was benched, and he never played again. But the courage to make decisions, to stick to the things that we value. So he decided that, look, Ghana is my country, I will play for them at whatever cost that it may come at, and it came at a very great cost. I mean, for even just talking about money.
Yep. And that's something that you also saw in his time. Speaking about the issue of courage, he was never afraid to make the bold calls to authority, not just in the Juventus case, but that Juventus case gives you an idea of how much, one, he loved the country, and two, he believed in what the country could do for him. Because remember, Juventus at the time they were awash with money. They were buying good players left, right, and center. They were one of the dominant teams in the Serie A.
Yeah.
And he was 22 years at the time. Think about it. You come from Accra Hearts of Oak here. You're a hustler, in his own words. Some agent comes around, sees one of the officials of Hearts of Oak. They say, oh, Stephen, I think we should go. He say, oh, you don't want to go, but you are persuaded to go. So he goes, and like he said in an interview, he borrowed somebody's Calcani jeans, somebody's Nike trainers, some nice top, and he went to Italy. He didn't even know that it was cold in February. So he went there, and everybody was laughing at him. He didn't know how to eat the food, so he was eating ice cream, gelato, and
Can you imagine?
And bread. So that is how till today his nickname in Italy is gelato ice cream. Now, you have hustled, done your best. You played in Udinese, come through to the first team in these harsh conditions, had the grace, to be going to another team, played with Brescia, and then to Juventus and so on. Then, at the peak of your powers, some national team called Ghana, who won't even pay for your air tickets, they won't even do much for you, say, come and play for us at the Olympic Games. You take bag and baggage, go in front of your directors who are paying your salary, who are giving you exposure, who are literally guaranteeing your future, and have the balls and the temerity
to tell them that,
the testicular fortitude, and to tell him that you want to go and play for your country. And he was basically giving an ultimatum: if you go, that's the end. And he went. When he came back, this is the funny part: the player they put in his stead was not even half as good as he was. His name was Emerson, but the Italians wanted to punish him for insubordination. They put a player who was not as good as Stephen Appiah there, and that was essentially his end, and that's how he went to Fenerbahce. So courage, I mean, I think Stephen has showed it more than most, is what they say.
He's done it, but one thing that he talks about, empathy, before I let Gary go into other aspects of everything, in 2010, Asamoah missed the penalty, the last kick of the game, and he held Asamoah and told him, you have to play the penalty. It is like telling him, you know what, I know how you feel, but put everything aside. We need to win this penalty shootout. Go ahead and take it. Asamoah took the penalty. Even after scoring, he was still in tears. He just couldn't believe that. He had let the whole country down, because the final kick of the game, then he lets it go.
Well, as for that, when Appiah was asked about it on Saturday, he said, I think his choice of words was that he always feels guilty when he's asked about that picture. You've seen that picture?
Yeah, I've seen it.
The one where he seems to be, on first viewing, you might think that he's saying, Asamoah Gyan, but he says no, that's not what he was telling him. He was actually admonishing him to have courage and go and play the penalty after he had missed the decisive one, the Luis Suarez one. So if you look at that picture, you would feel that he was warning him, but the empathy and the ability to even tell Asamoah Gyan to rise above the loss, I think is something, again, that stands Stephen Appiah apart as a leader and somebody we should look up to. We've got a couple of comments.
Sure.
And Joseph Ajiman from Community 9 is answering our question about whether leaders are born or made, and he says that, good morning, guys. Stephen Appiah was born to do it. Okay.
Well, Gary, let me just introduce that we've been joined by Reverend Albert Okran, who's an executive coach and someone who has written extensively about leadership. He's joined us on the phone. So is our own Kojo Yankson. So, Reverend Albert Okran, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. And Kojo Youngson, good morning to you also.
Good morning, Churchill. Good morning again to you. Fascinating conversation we're having this morning, isn't it? This concept of leadership, are leaders born or made? And Stephen Appiah's 5 tips for leaders. I mean, I was so excited listening to him. And by the way, well done to the sports team for another amazing production. That interview was brilliant. But you know, the 5 points Stephen Appiah was making, I was fascinated by the fact that there are some great parallels with politics. You know, those are 5 leadership traits that a politician or a political leader really needs to make note of. Okay, I mean, he talks about empathy, right? Throughout history, Winston, what has happened to political leaders who cannot put themselves in the people's shoes when they are making decisions? I mean, you can go as far back as Marie Antoinette, who said, let them eat cake when she was told that her subjects had no food to eat. All the way to modern days, when we have been imposing harsh taxes on citizens, and when leaders start to show that they do not connect with the people they're leading, they will turn around one day and find that nobody is following them, that they are no longer leading. They are merely going for a walk, as John Bonner likes to say. But you know what? When we do this to our leaders, we are the ones who insulate them from the problems that we want them to solve. Think about it. We give them 3 4x4 so that they don't fill the potholes. We give them police escorts so they don't have to worry about armed robbers. We give them protocol so that their children can gain admission to the best schools. And they will never experience the schools under trees that their constituents or their citizens are experiencing. So how will they ever have that empathy that Stephen Appiah talks about? Then he talked about communication. Communication is pretty much everything in politics. And it's more about knowing how to listen as it is about knowing how to talk. Okay, Kofi Annan was a master of this. The number of conflicts that were averted just because Kofi Annan gave a listening ear to both sides. And he always treated people with dignity. That's basically what Stephen Appiah is pointing out when he says that, look, you are not dealing with animals. So hear that side of the story. And he talks about courage. And in political leadership, they call courage political will, don't they?
Sure.
Every time we've had leaders who lack political will, the very fiber of society ends up being exposed to what? One of the worst examples of a lack of political will was when former President Kufuor decided to enforce road traffic regulations. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And you remember how the police arrested scores of them, they processed them all for court. Everybody was excited that this was an opportunity for Ghana to finally bring some sanity to our roads. But the lawbreakers threatened to vote, and the government set them all free. So now we ask, did that government win the next election?
They did not.
Political will is what made leaders like Mandela, Kagame, Lee Kuan Yew, Kwame Nkrumah. That's what made them great. Even Trump. You may criticize some of his decisions, but you can never fault his will to see through even the most controversial decisions to the end. The third point he makes is about never stop learning. Actually, that's the 4th point that Stephen Appiah made. Never stop learning. As for this one, it cannot be done by leaders who are arrogant. Because in order to let yourself learn, you must first admit that you don't know everything. Observe Boris Johnson before he got COVID-19 and observe after he got it. Today, his decisions are based on science and intel. Before, he was not interested in proving to his opponents that he knew what he was doing. Clearly, he didn't get him very far. In fact, it almost killed him. And wasn't it Alban Bagbin who once said that if Mahama won't let them advise him in private, they will advise him in public? That was Alban Bagbin, wasn't it?
Sure.
Yeah. The truth is, if you are allergic to learning, then you are allergic to leading. And the last point from Stephen Appiah is my favorite. Humility. You know, he hits the bullseye with this one. Humility in leadership is not about acting weak or being walked over. It's about modeling the behavior you wish your people to follow. That's why Jesus washed his disciples' feet. And then he asked them to do the same to one another. When Rollins took off his shirt and jumped into the gutter to clean it out, was he showing weakness? And how did people react when he did that? Did they not all jump into the gutter and do the same? Leaders must learn to show that they are not above their subject. When you tell the people to tighten their belts, you must tighten your own first. If you want people to observe safety precautions, they must see you doing the same so that they will follow your example. Let's go back to Jesus. Jesus spent his time on earth modeling the behavior that he wished his sons and daughters of God will exhibit, especially the greatest commandment about love, right? When he said, love one another as I have loved you. That is leadership. Do as I do. And that's the beauty of what Stephen Appiah said. Every point he made can be properly applied in being a political leader. And I just wish we had more of his type of leadership in Ghana.
Great, Coach. So just hold on, I'll get back to you. But let me also just get to Reverend Albert Okran, who's also on the line. Reverend Albert Okran, thank you once again for joining us. So we've been discussing, Stephen Appiah's 5 pointers of leadership, traits of leadership. He's talked about empathy, communication, courage, learning, and humility. What do you make of these pointers that Stephen Appiah has put out? Anyone you want to add or you want to expand on them?
Let me first congratulate Stephen for coming out to that interview. I've had the privilege of interviewing Stephen previously with, along with Tony Baffo in one of our series, and he comes across at all times as somebody who's extremely passionate about what he does and has a strong sense of mission, which typically are the attributes of every great leader. I had the wonderful privilege of being in Germany for the very first World Cup, and I mean, the number of Ghanaians who abandoned their work schedules to travel to watch that spectacle just told you how much it meant to us as a nation to actually go to a World Cup. And it's something that had been a dream for many years and not been achieved. And what leaders often do is inspire in other people or in people around them a sense of mission and a sense, a goal, a dream that they must aspire to and they must reach out for. And I look at some players that you probably want to call ordinary, but who rose to the occasion and played beyond themselves to get past that first round. I mean, losing the first match against Italy and just watching the behavior on the pitch. I mean, the captain was at all times almost like a second coach on the pitch. He contrasted his, he mentioned Andre in the course of time and said he had spotted a few attributes that he felt were promising in DDRU. Let me tell you something, Winston, that you'll find very interesting, and Gary, at that. You mentioned whether leadership was leaders were born or made.
Sure.
Let me just contribute by saying that sometimes you see people who are naturally born with innate abilities that you see right from childhood. They demonstrate a certain propensity to do things exceptionally, and they gather people around them, and you see them lead from the front. And so, yes, there are innate abilities that people are sometimes born with. Then you will find that even in their socialization, if they grew up watching their parents or people that they look up to doing something, it comes to them very naturally. I believe that Andre benefited a lot from watching his father, who was captain. And that is the same case with Maldini. So a child who grows up seeing their father communicate, speak in public, or lead in a way, I mean, definitely Zanetta Rawlings watched her father and is learning from him. So a child who watches their parent do something has a natural propensity through socialization to do it quicker than somebody who was not watching that example on a daily basis. And our current president obviously must have watched his father, who also was president, do what he did. So having said that, leadership is actually a set of skills that are learnable. So if you don't have a father who was a president or a mother who was a leader, it doesn't mean you can be a leader, really. I mean, all the attributes that you mentioned, empathy, communication, courage, learning, and humility that Stephen articulated so well, are attributes that a person can learn. And the more you practice them, the more you understand and internalize them, the better you can be at practicing them and at exhibiting them in the course of your work. So, in my opening thoughts, I will first commend Stephen for sharing these lessons, and to say that I think it's a great idea. He's writing a book. His compatriots in other nations have written, and he definitely should write. Your friend Stephen Gerrard has written, so Stephen Appiah should write.
Okay.
And I think I'll be the first to buy that book. But having said that, I think I'm a big fan of Stephen Appiah, and I think that the lessons that he shares are real, and they are lessons that, as Kojo rightly said in his earlier submission, are applicable in the corporate life, in political life.
Okay.
And I think we must take these leadership conversations right to the primary school level and expand our curriculum to include some of these conversations so that our learning does not become typical rote learning based on school curriculums, but touching on subjects like this at the primary school level, it would bring about a big change in our society.
So talking about, these things, empathy, communication, courage, learning, and humility, are these things you see in our crop of leaders in this country?
I believe so. I think that when we have a conversation about leadership, the first thing we do is to look at political leadership and then make it the focus of our attention. But really, a country is built by all of us. And so leadership cuts across science, it cuts across politics, it cuts across religion, it cuts across the corporate. So I want to celebrate leadership at various levels. Let's take this fight against COVID. I sit down and I watch the reaction of our nation. And I admire the people like Noguchi who are, let's face it, if we are going to be very honest with ourselves, the world has been saying that we are doing something right. And that is leadership. Even if there are flaws in what we are doing, the fact that our model is being watched by others, I sat down and watched Professor Ambo from Noguchi and others articulating their response to this crisis and what they have done. I watched the briefings by the press. I watched Kujo Ponkruma articulating what we are doing. That is leadership. So if you ask me what if these attributes are being demonstrated, I will say that go to the field of science, you will see go to the field of business. All those business leaders who, some of them employing 100 people, who are thinking through how do we continue to give people a sustenance. I talked to somebody who hasn't received revenue since February. Winston, if you run a business and through no fault of yours, your industry is totally shut down, no revenue coming in. In fact, by policy, if the airlines are not flying and you are a travel agency, if hotels are not operating and you are a hotel, if nobody's coming in, and if your business, by virtue of where it is positioned, is literally locked down, it requires resilience, one of the big attributes of a leader, to be able to run your organization. So I celebrate all those CEOs scratching their heads, thinking of how to stay afloat and give people a livelihood. Winston, these are huge leadership attributes.
Okay.
And so, if you ask me, I'll say across the corporate landscape, leadership is being demonstrated. Across the health landscape, especially in this crisis moment, let's not decouple this conversation from our current reality. So even now, sports has been affected. Look at Gary and Co. trying very hard to give us content, trying to give us something to chew on because sports. And I watched Sky Sports, and I was asking myself, how do they keep this going when there's no football, no sports, and all that is leadership? So in my opinion, these attributes are present.
Okay, but go ahead.
Instances where there's so much more that can be done and we can't run away from that.
What are those instances, Reverend Albert Okran?
I believe that we sometimes let ourselves down as a nation because we don't fully optimize what God has blessed us with. Sometimes you ask yourself, when you see people celebrated across the world, some of our Ghanaian leaders go to, some leaders from some people from our country go to other nations and take leadership positions in some fields and shine so much. You ask yourself, could they have done that if they were in our country, in our part of the world? And that is a conversation that we need to have. Do we have an environment that celebrates accomplishment?
Do we have that environment?
Winston, let me throw that question back at you, because I sometimes find that when I travel outside the country, even to our West African neighbors, they have a better appreciation for what we have than we ourselves do. Something about us has a propensity to be cynical. So when somebody is doing something, we look at it and we think, no, there must be something else. We just can't celebrate people and say, wow, this is great and this is wonderful. So those same people take it elsewhere and they are celebrated and they are like, oh, okay, how come they don't do it here? I think that we sometimes can be very skeptical about people, very cynical about people, and it's something that we need to work on. I think that some of the stories that are celebrated elsewhere are the same things probably that people were doing here, but the environment out there gives them more space and more encouragement, and that is something that we need to do as a people.
Okay, but finally, Reverend Albert Okran, now you've talked about how people are doing so. I mean, you've commended leaders in the corporate world, in science, in business. You've talked about sports. How about politics? Is one thing we can't talk about leadership without talking about that particular area. How about leadership within our political landscape?
I think that the conversations that we have about our politics deny us the chance to evaluate our politics in the way that we should. And that's why, Winston, I made a point that you probably did not miss out on. I said we should begin leadership conversations right from primary school.
Sure.
So that when a person is evaluating a political leader, the person will not evaluate them based on party colors. The person will evaluate them based on a set of parameters. Did they show empathy? Did they communicate well? Do you see a strong sense of mission? Does the leader have an internal locus of control? Do they know that they are in charge, or they are blaming others, or they are blaming their predecessors, or they are blaming other people, or the environment? I think that altogether, we should change our conversation about leadership. And when we do, we can have a very honest, very pragmatic evaluation of our leaders at all sides and enjoy the conversation and place a higher demand on our leaders than the color that they wear or the party that they represent. Having said that, my own submission is that leaders at all fronts must always center their actions, their thoughts, their policies on mission. What am I here to do? And as you rightly said, there will be times when the decisions that you need to make are tough decisions that nobody will agree with. But very often, it is said that the higher you stand, the farther you can see. There are things that you see that you know will be beneficial. You'll be criticized at the time it's being done, but you'll be celebrated later. We celebrate Nkrumah today, but it's possible that it is obvious that at the time that he was a president, he was criticized very harshly for some of his policies.
Thank you very, very much, Reverend Albert Okran, for joining us. Great points there. But so, Gary, in moving on, I mean, Reverend has talked about, within the businesses, corporate, has actually talked about leadership even in the face of COVID-19, how the health sector is doing so well. How about leadership, in our churches, in our homes, and
I'll take the hope.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I was going to come to you first. I saw that thing on your finger. And
No.
And you don't see the halo on my head?
I have absolutely no locus to call myself. I'm not an expert in it at all. I'm only less than 18 months or something like that.
Oh, you are young.
In the institution.
You are young in the institution.
But leadership at home, I think we've all grown up. We've seen what leadership qualities typically endear, fathers, mothers, or grandparents to have homes that produce and churn out consistently good people. You can look at some homes in your neighborhood and you keep wondering, how is it that this house, all the people who come out of this place are correct?
Are correct.
Yeah, they've come out pretty well.
Yeah.
I always hearken to this, and if my folks at home are listening, they'll always mention that I do say it. Isankuma somewhere, lawyer Isankuma said somewhere. Yeah, I think he posted a photo or two of himself and his kids, daughter and son. Daughter or son had graduated from law school or something like that. And somebody asked him, how have you done it so well? Brought up your kids so well and they've turned out so well. And I'll never forget his answer. He said, you know what? Honestly, I don't think there's any formula for this thing. I don't think there's any formula for this thing. You just take it a day at a time and pass on your values as best as you can and hope that your child takes it. Anyway, you have a couple of kids.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably know that the formula no data.
The formula, but one formula that works in building peace in home, and if you're listening, is having your children when they are fighting wear the same T-shirt. It teaches them that fighting is uncomfortable. I mean, when my children are screaming and shouting, I just get a T-shirt, my T-shirt, and I put both of them inside. And I'm like, until you can agree on what cartoon it is that you are watching, you wear the same T-shirt. So, I mean, this is just an idea.
Not a bad one at all.
Yeah. So, I mean, taking that learning from Isa and Kuma, I think that leadership, it goes back to the discussion. And let me just, Neil Ante from Osu says, Stephen wasn't born with it. He learned it from experience of the past. And link it to what Reverend Albert Okran said, that leadership is a set of skills that are learnable. They are available. You know.
Sure.
So in the home as well, you may come from a dysfunctional home or from, as in my case, in a very divorced home where I never met my mother and father for my entire life in the same place. But I do not discount the learnings I got from each part of the circle. And I think that's why I always tell people that for as long as I live, there will never be divorce in my home. Because there's absolutely nothing my partner will do that will annoy me to the extent that I will say there's a divorce coming. Me. If you know my mother and my father, there's nothing my partner can do. That is and I have spoken it into existence and I know it's going to happen.
Amen.
You get my point. So I feel that leadership is something that you have to take and run with as well. You can learn it in whatever Harvard management or whatever it is, but if it is not inside you, as Coach Joy997 said, if you don't have that political will, if you don't have that courage to take that decision that I want to do this and do that, you are always going to fail at it. I know you are looking at me some styles.
But you see, Gary makes a very important point. And before we go for a short break, years ago I met a certain CEO of where I was working, and he said, you can stop me and ask me any question you want to ask. But in case you're planning to ask me a question about relationship or marriage, let me answer you before you ask. So I said, what is the answer? They are always right. Keep it at the back of your mind. Never, ever stop me and ask me any question.
He must be the cousin of whoever advised me before I got married as well.
Anyway, so we have to go for a short break. But when we come back after the break, there's a very simple question I want you to answer: whether leaders are born or are made. Reverend Albert Okran talks about how they must have some innate traits in them that would certainly come to push them. Others also, they learn, like maybe Stephen Appiah might have learned on the job. We'll be right back after these few messages.
In a world where everything is changing around you, sometimes you need to turn to someone you can trust. You want to move with a change in safe hands, and we are here to help. At Societe Generale Ghana, we understand change because we have transformed and evolved. No matter how our name may change, 43 years of retail and corporate banking expertise never changes, ensuring stability and trust. Digital innovation as the world moves forward to help you adapt, upgrade, and keep up. Bank with Societe Generale Ghana and enjoy doing your banking your way, whenever you choose, in our digital zones with cutting-edge digital banking products and quality services. You deserve a better bank and great rewards. We agree, the world only moves because you make it move. SG Ghana, the future is you.
There is one deadly disease in Africa, malaria, caused by mosquitoes. It has no respect for humans, and its symptoms are fever, headache, cold, cough, and vomiting. Malaria kills, so protect yourself and your family. If you have been diagnosed of malaria, the medicine you need is Malatu. Malatu is a good anti-malaria drug. It contains artemether-lumefantrine that gives you relief from malaria. Available in suspension for kids and tablets for adults. If it's malaria, then your solution is Malatu. And if symptoms persist after 3 days, consult your physician. For bulk purchases, contact NS Chemist. NS Chemist, providing quality and affordable medicine.
Pandemic has hit.
Do whatever
it takes. It is in times like these that DSTV has you covered with key international and African news channels, bringing you breaking news in real time.
Explosion that rocks the town.
Big topic, of course, self-isolation.
Get all the world's stories first with CNN, Euronews, and our new channel Africa News, available on all DSTV packages, plus BBC World, Newsroom Africa, and Al Jazeera. Stay in touch and in the know 24/7 with DSTV.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation. Over the past 45 years, we've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products, and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
It's time for Extra. Our unlimited Airtel Tigo bundles now last extra long. Simply dial *111# to make unlimited Airtel Tigo calls for 6 whole months at just 20 Ghana cedis. To the film,
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
Kids are really having a fun time. I only get worried at some of the stuff they pick up. Germs and worms.
Really? I don't get worried at all. I've got Vermox to take care of that. And you know Kweku and his pork joint. Besides, we get food from the roadside from time to time. So me, I deworm the whole family every 3 months. And we are covered.
Hey, I will have to start doing same then.
Deworm your family regularly with Vermox. Vermox kills a wide range of worms and keeps your family, especially your children, protected. Vermox, the dewormer of choice for the whole family. Vermox is not recommended in the treatment of children under 2 years and not recommended in pregnant women and lactating mothers. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Do you want to advance your career in law? Would you like to study in Ireland's second largest city? Then choose a postgrad degree in law at University College Cork, one of the top law schools in the world. We have a wide range of courses. Gain practical work experience during your study, plus get a 2-year work visa. UCC law graduates are career ready with alumni going on to high-profile positions. Various scholarships are available. Email lawpostgrad@ucc.ie or check out ucc.ie/law.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best on Joy 99.7 FM.
All right, so welcome back and thank you very much for staying with us. Live on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7. But you know your life matters to us. Stay alive, and one very key preventive measure is personal hygiene in these COVID-19 times. So wash your hands regularly for at least 20 seconds with soap and running water. Soap that can save your life, so use it. And this is brought to you by Alive Soap. So I'm sure you know what to do. Use Alive Soap, even as you wash your hands and running water. So Robert & Sons Limited Optical Services is back to provide you, your loved ones and employees with unbeatable products and comprehensive eye care services. Visit us at Adabakra on the Kojo Thompson Road near Champion Oil Filling Station, Osudankwa Circle in the Design House building next to Glory Oil Filling Station, and at Adenta in the Bond Square building, Wager near the West Hills Mall next to GRA, and East Legon on the Boundary Road near Perrygate Events Garden, Tema Community 6 near Hotel Jokal, and finally at our new and improved Kumasi branch at Ahojo, opposite the Forestry Commission. You can also contact and follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Robert & Sons Limited. Kindly call 0302 2222 0302 222601 and then 0501 519 111 for more information. Robert & Sons Optical Services. Seeing is the living. And text messages on the Super Morning Show is brought to you by Glyco Critical Illness Plan, GCIP. GCIP, it's in your best interest. To survive an Afrodan, your back must last you a lifetime. Have you had a loved one suffer as a result of cancer, kidney failure, or heart disease? The emotional and financial stress is very traumatic. The Glyco Critical Illness Plan, GCIP, has been designed to alleviate some of the financial burdens and critical illnesses posed on loved ones and families. So do not wait until it's too late. Sign on to the Glyco Critical Illness Plan, GCIP, for financial support when diagnosed with critical illness such as cancer, strokes, kidney failures, among others. Speak to Glyco Life today for your GCIP policy on 0202 222-113 or call Glyco on star 45426. Download the star phone app from Google Play Store, App Store to experience more of Glyco. Glyco Life, we cushion you for life. And with over 30 years in the stationery business, Kingdom Books and Stationery now offers a 30-day credit facility with no interest charge, and we deliver free within Accra, Tema, and surrounding towns. Visit us today at Osu Akwaje, University of Ghana campus. Kingdom Books are next near the Accra Sports Stadium, Tema on the main TDC Junction, and Kumasi on KNUST campus, Cape Coast on UCC campus, and Takrady at Fijai near the Teachers Hall. Call 0302-764-101 or 0302-762307 or visit www.kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, your number one stop shop for all office essentials, stationery, and furniture. So let's get back to our conversation. And in as we're talking about the home, we're asking questions also about what we need to do when it comes to leadership at the church.
I'm looking at the list and thinking I could probably give like a 45-minute presentation on the 5 things, but I'll tell you what really sticks out to me. So let me start with humility, but let's talk about humility in the church. I struggle as I've gotten older with the men of God syndrome that we have here in Ghana, the untouchable, touch not. You can see me from a distance, but I will not be easily accessible to you kind of system that a lot of the churches have now. And I'm reminded of how Jesus, behaved when he was on earth, as we have read in the Bible, his, suffer not the little children, to come to me, or the way that he was always open, always allowing people near him, always, putting himself in people's shoes and with what they were going through. And I wonder if perhaps the church was a little bit more humble in that way. But then that also kind of walks with empathy, though, doesn't it? Because we've come to know a church that is quite judgmental. And we've come to know a church that sits on a certain pedestal and looks down on the world and unbelievers as though, they were cast out. And we forget that there's a part of the Bible where Jesus says that he will come when the gospel has been preached to the ends of the earth. And so whilst we sit on our pedestals, up there as Christians and feeling all important, we forget that the thing that is holding back our Savior from coming is the fact that we are not putting ourselves in the shoes of people who do not know God and telling them about him so that we can get to the place where we can all finally, and I'm sure when you think about the New Jerusalem and all the things that Jesus promises, you're in a hurry to go. I know I am. It seems like it's such a better world. And I'm looking at it and I'm looking at courage, and Brené Brown, defines courage as being vulnerable, as being open, as sharing your struggles. Wouldn't it be amazing if we as a church would share openly our struggles, share openly our sins, the things that we battle with, so that we could actually be able to reach out our hands to people who are struggling. There's this depiction of empathy that I read about, and courage, and it says a man was crossing a river to go to the other side, and he was going to face something really hard, and his friend said, I'll stand at the bank and watch you go and know that I am with you. And another friend said, no, actually I'm going to get in the boat with you and go with you to where you are going. And that is what empathy is. It's putting ourselves in the situations that people face. And if the church would do that, wow, what influence we would have.
Wow, I like that. And I'll say amen to that.
Amen.
Anyway, so let's get to Kojo Yangsing by way of, concluding the conversation so we can activate the phone lines. I know there are many of you who have been sending in messages about whether or not leaders are born. Kojo?
Yeah, Winston.
Sure, Kojo. So wrap it up for us, finally.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that I walked away from that interview with Stephen Appiah with is the fact that, to be honest, as a leader, there are only two things you need: wisdom and intelligence. And by the way, they are not the same thing. Wisdom is not intelligence. But when you look at the 5 things that Stephen Appiah mentioned, you can see wisdom and intelligence in them. You can see wisdom in empathy, the ability to understand that your perspective is not the only one. So you have to see things from all angles. You can see wisdom in courage. That knowledge that when you make a decision, people are looking up to you to have it implemented, to see it through to the end. And it's not about not being afraid. It's about acting even though you are afraid. And that is wisdom. You can see wisdom in humility, the choice to lead by example, to lead by serving. That is wisdom, because when you are wise enough to realize that it is your actions that people will follow, not your words, that is the beginning of that all-important trait you need in order to be a leader. Intelligence is what you can see in communication. The ability to communicate your vision to people in a way that they will buy into and follow you. Nelson Mandela was great at this. He came out of prison into a divided country and was able to convince the blacks that revenge, which was their entitlement and their right, was not the way to go. Even though they had been waiting 26 years for that revenge, he was able to convince them of another way. That is communication. Leaders need it. You can see intelligence in the ability to keep learning. And Stephen Appiah made that point, that you don't know everything. Things change every day. Intelligence is about adapting your wisdom to the reality of the day. And a leader needs to have that adaptability. Otherwise, it's not enough to just be a wise man sitting in a chair. Nobody will follow you unless you can apply your intelligence to mobilize people behind your vision. So wisdom and intelligence, those are the two things I got from Stephen Appiah. And I certainly hope that the leaders who are listening, the leaders who we depend on in order to lead us into this future that we are all promised as a nation, I hope that they are able to adapt and pick up the things that they are missing. They have one thing or the other, but they are missing other things. You need to add them on so that they can be holistic leaders we will all be pleased to follow. Otherwise, they are just out for a walk.
All right. Thank you very much, Kojo Yangsing. And we meet at the flip side and have a few chit-chats here and there. So that's Kojo Yangsing joining us. But you can also join us now on 0302-216-541 and then 0244-340437, because the phone lines have been activated, and so you can join us and tell us whether leaders are born or are made. But some bit of COVID tips for you. When you feel sick, self-quarantine if sick. Call your doctor if you have any symptoms and stay home until you recover. Avoid sitting, sleeping or eating with loved ones even if you live in the same house. Wear a mask and wash your hands as much as possible. And if you need urgent medical care, wear a mask and let them know you may have COVID-19. And our COVID-19 tidbit is brought to you by Carex in collaboration with the Ghana Medical Association. Carex kills 99% of bacteria. Say yes to life. Dole yogurt, more, I need more. A life soap that can save your life. Use it. McDonald Shipping Company Limited, your total logistics partner. Petrosol, a delightful experience, and Hollard Life Assurance. We've got you covered. All right, so let's get on to the phone lines now, because we've been joined by Ni from Osu. Good morning, Ni.
Good morning.
Great, Ni. Go ahead and can you reduce the volume on your radio set then? Share your views with us.
All right, sir. Great. I agree with Enimwa directly. Now, the leaders, the pastors, are not accessible. We can't see them. We only see them from afar. Let them draw closer and let's experience the feeling of them. And also, one thing that I also know, we didn't talk about leaders that buy their leadership by money. It's everywhere. Politics, society, they get their gathering, they get their money, then they go to leadership. They don't even have a feel for it.
Thank you very much, Ni from Osu. Bishop from Asante Mampong. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing very well. How about you, Bishop?
By grace, I'm fine. Is that Wilson?
Yes, that's Winston. Yes.
Welcome to the seat.
Thank you.
Wilson, I just want to talk about this. I heard Albert O'Krine talking about adding leadership, empathy, and what have you to the curriculum at the primary school.
Mm-hmm.
Please, we have it already. And even the new curriculum, there are these core competencies that are factored in it. We used to practice, but we didn't separate them. But still, they are there. If you put your students in groups to study, there's definitely somebody who is a leader, somebody who is a secretary to report. At the primary school level, you give them assignment and you put them in groups. You ask them to do a task and what have you. You are teaching them leadership. You are teaching them empathy, teaching them tolerance among themselves to grow with it. I'm happy he said leaders today at the ministerial level, corporate bodies they learn those things at the school level, from the basic school.
Thank you very much, Bishop from Asantemanpon. Raymond from Laboni. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Raymond. Go ahead and tell us.
I wasted my brother and friend. Do you remember Raymond?
No.
I've lost your number. This is the Raymond, your best friend and brother of Funky Fridays, TV3. You remember?
Okay. Yes, I remember Raymond. Okay, so yes.
Yeah. You see, leaders can be born or can be made, depending on how nature positions the whole thing. Mind you, that some people are being born just to be leader, and some people are being made, depending on the circumstances and especially how nature has made it. The main issue here is how nature has made it. What about people who does not know anything, who never saw anything, who never experienced anything, but they were able to lead well? And what about people who were being born in golden spoon and they never knew their left and right in even talking to their fellow human beings because of their background? So the best answer for this morning to every Ghanaian or everybody listening to your program or me, myself, speaking to you, is just by nature.
Okay.
Leaders are being made by nature. Remember, I still need your number. Now
Thank you very, very much, Raymond. Kweku from Lakeside, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Winston and Elimwa and Gary. Gary, I often call you Gary. Winston, to add to what Stephen Appiah said, those 5 pointers, I want to add leaders must also respect what they say. You say A, you have to commit, you have to stand by the A. You don't say A today, then tomorrow you come and say you meant B. And this one cut across every part of life, from the political party, from CEOs, from management, from everything.
Okay, can you position yourself? Your line is getting bad.
Is it better now?
Yes, it's better now. Go ahead.
The second thing I want to just use a fun one. I want to know if you were fancy or ever. Anyway, is she fancy or what?
Indian.
Okay, quick word answer that. Thank you very much. Nilante from Osu, good morning. Hello, Nilante.
Yes,
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Leaders are sometimes born. Leaders are sometimes made by learning. Like in Sinatra case, he learned. That's what I can. Because of the previous experience of the Black Star captains and then that group. As a leader, like you said, you have to get along with everybody. But some of our leaders pick and choose who they want to work with. And then some people feel inferior. If they think that they are worth, even they were there before you came, but because of certain privileges, you will choose above them, and then you didn't want to get along with them because when you choose always the privilege or the rich within their sector.
Okay.
Some of them within that sector, I get me. Maybe some of them. So you think this guy is a mate that enters our group. The father is a watchman. The father is whatever, a trader or security man for somewhere. And you think, then see what you are doing. He will sabotage you.
Thank you very much. Milanti from Osu. Let's stay in Osu because Benjamin is also from Osu. Benjamin, unfortunately we've lost you, Benjamin. Can you try and get in touch with us again? Okay, I think we still have you. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, is that Benjamin?
No, this is Paul.
Okay, go ahead. Where are you calling us from? Yes.
Please indulge me to say that the best president we've had who has shown leadership in this country was Kufuor. The rest of them are just putting us in more misery because they take decisions that enhances their political interests above our individual and collective interests. What they are doing is sad, and we Ghanaians must stand up against them. We must be able to push our agenda as a country that needs to develop without these political interferences and these political decisions that goes to enhance their image in the next elections. Enough of thinking of the next elections.
Okay.
We need to develop, and we need to develop now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that'll be our final caller. Please bear with us. We can't take any more of your calls. We'll try and read lots of your messages, but that will be after these messages.
What would you do if you have the choice to do anything in life? Build your dream house, take very good care of your family, and plan for a comfortable retirement. Plan a befitting funeral for your loved ones when they depart. How would you live if you knew there was a friend waiting to support you on all of your life's choices?
You have such a friend in Glyco Life Insurance. Glyco Life has all the plans to meet your life's needs. Your child's education, your life savings, your mortgage, funerals, redundancy, and your retirement, and takes the burden off your shoulders. So go ahead and live life to the fullest today with Glyco Life Insurance Plans. And remember that all our policies are hedged against inflation. Talk to Glyco Life on 0302-218-500 or 246-142. Also visit our website at www.glycolife.com or any of our branches nationwide for more information.
Glyco Life, we cushion you for life.
Glyco, we cushion you for life.
Accidents do happen. It could be a motor accident, a sudden heart attack, or even a stroke, or any other health emergency. The first steps you take are very critical. Should you be involved in or witness an accident, call 112 for the fastest ambulance response. With over 300 well-equipped ambulances all over Ghana, you are assured of the fastest response to your emergency calls. Call 112 during critical health emergencies and save your life and that of your family and loved ones. 112, help will come. 112, we are safe. Avoid prank calls as they can lead to loss of life of persons in actual need of help. Be a responsible citizen.
Because the greatest things are born from the smallest of thoughts. Just as your seeds in a rich soil grow to become trees that bear fruits, the Agricultural Development Bank, ADB, helps you sow, invest, nurture, and grow your personal and business plans by serving you with years of banking ingenuity and experience in agribusiness, corporate and commercial banking, consumer finance, e-banking, and many more through our network branches across the country. Whatever the culture, whatever the dream, we grow with you. Call us today on 0302-210-210 or visit www.agricbank.com. ADB, truly agric and more.
Abna, why are you crying?
Why wouldn't I cry out? This has become unbearable. Everywhere I go, I'm treated like an outcast. At home, at work, at the hospital, even at the market. Is it a crime to have TB? Is it a crime to have HIV? It's better I die. Why?
No, Abna, you can't give up and die. Indeed, a new dawn has come for persons living with HIV and those suffering from TB and sexually transmitted infections. WAPCAS, in collaboration with the Ghana AIDS Commission, is shedding light on our rights so we can enjoy equal rights as captured in the Ghana AIDS Commission Act, Act 938. Rights to quality health care, non-discrimination, equal work opportunities, and education. You may call WAPCAS on 030-224-1452 or 055-6233-663 to report any act of discrimination. WAPCAS,
here for your rights.
WAPCAS and Act 938,
here for life.
This advert is brought to you by WAPCAS with funding from the Global Fund.
Be happy.
improvise an auto gas cylinder. Make sure the auto gas cylinder is properly installed by a qualified technician. Always keep a fire extinguisher handy. In case of a fire, stand at a safe distance and attack the base of the flames. Avoid decanting LPG from one cylinder to the other. Domestic transfer of LPG should be avoided. Cars fitted with auto gas cylinders should be filled at the appropriate filling stations. A message from the National Petroleum Authority.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best on Joy 99.7 FM.
And thank you very much for staying with us. It's 8 minutes to 10 here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7. But you know, education is secured, convenient, and easily accessible on Joy Learning. Here's how you can access the Joy Learning channel on your multi-TV digibox. Just rescan your TV set or seek assistance from an installer nearby and find Joy Learning and access classroom lessons for SHS and JHS students. For more lessons, go online and download the Wolo app or visit woloafrique.com for all your core subjects and electives in science, business, and general arts. Register and subscribe to any subject of your choice. For more information, call 0264 790 970 or 0302 211 688. Joy Learning is brought to you by KNET, SES, and Wolo. Joy Learning, keep learning. But to our cherished audience in the UK, we wish to apologize to you for the inability to access us through the TuneIn app as usual. We're available on myjoyonline.com or at doomonline.com. And you can also access our streams on Facebook, Android devices, Google Play Store and Apple Store as My Joy Online and Adum Online. So Gary, we have lots of messages, and I think it'll be
lots and lots.
Read some of those messages.
Read through them, right?
Sure, do.
All right, let's move. Pius says, can we have a replay of the Great Tornado's interview? I'd love to listen to it over and over again. I'd love to meet him too. Stephen Apia Papa. I believe leaders are born, but to be a great leader, there's a need to learn. That leads to making a great leader. So Stephen Apia's interview will be on the Joy News channel at 11 a.m. and then we'll replay portions of it at 1:10 p.m. on the Joy Sports track. This is from Christy from La Paz, and she says leaders are born and can be made. Leaders are born and can be made, but the individual has to have vision, determination, integrity of character, and strength of purpose. Good morning, guys. Leadership equals discipline. If you have to learn discipline, then you have to learn leadership. Persons are born with leadership traits, and as such, it enhances the learning process. What we have more are managers. Our leaders are very few. It cuts across all strata of life, and that is from William from Gomoa. Leaders are born and can be made too. Stephen Apia is an asset to the nation. Ralph Ayi from New Bawi says,
well, Gary, can you hold on a minute for me? I'll come back to you so we read a lot more of the messages. But we've been joined by the minority leader in Parliament and Member of Parliament for Tamale South. We had introduced that he was going to be joining us for his goodwill message, to our Muslim brothers and sisters. Honorable Haruna Jisu, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak and happy Eid al-Fitr to the National Chief Imam, Dr. Nur Sharabutu, the Amir of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission and his congregation, Al-Tijaniya, and the Sunni leadership and all Muslim Ummah. Indeed, this is extraordinary and unusual for us to observe Eid in the comfort of our homes and not congregating to say, Allah, we thank you for the life, we thank you for the good health. It means that we are all confronted with that unknown new disease, COVID, which is changing lives and will change the way we live. we need to embrace a new normal and a new life as Muslims. Every Muslim completes Ramadan with high moral standing. If you imbibe the values and the discipline of Ramadan, it's my prayer that every Muslim will continue with those values, the values of discipline, the values of good character. You don't talk about what you do not know or what you have not seen. You don't engage in immorality. You look for the favor and grace of Allah. But in many, many circumstances, we decimate the values of Ramadan 24 hours after the holy month of Ramadan is gone, and we enter into the month of Shawwal. And therefore, one can only pray for the national leadership of our country, for the peace of our country, for our togetherness as a country. And we pray that Allah, with our faith and belief and suffering in Ramadan by way of fast, Allah will use it to reward us to prevent Ghana and Ghanaians from COVID and its debilitating effect on humans, our health, and on our economy, and to keep us together. So I thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you also. Thank you very much, and Eid Mubarak to you. So that's Minority Leader and Member of Parliament for Tamale South, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, joining us there with his goodwill message to our Muslim brothers and sisters. Gary, we need to be wrapping up here, so final message maybe, and then we just make way for the news team.
Yes, this one is from Kalamufosu, who says that Stephen Appiah is the embodiment of leadership. And guys, I heard him say on the show that he's going into coaching. Is anybody holding his hand to do so? Well, Stephen Appiah says he's taking a couple of courses in coaching, and so we'll be seeing him in the dugouts, and hopefully he can bring these leadership qualities into our football. And I would like to see.
Hopefully he gets to coach Asante Kotoko.
He's a heart man through and through.
But never say never. Never say never, because CK Akuno, Grofields man. I know. He's coached Grofields. I know. Accra Hearts of Oak. He's coached Asante Kotoko. Never say never. Anyway, thank you very much, Gary Al Smith, for joining us this morning on the Super Morning Show. And of course, a big thank you to our producer, Sami Odame, and to the executive producer, Elvis Kwashi.